Dominic just gave Nalani an ultimatum. She stops seeing Callahan for whatever reason, or she breaks up with him, but she's unable to let go of either Dom or Cal, and is about to cost her big time. Callahan's production company was hosting a charity art gala at a gallery in the West Loop. It was a big deal. Celebrities, influencers, media coverage, all to raise money for Southside Arts programs. Callahan had invited Nalani weeks ago. "Please come. You don't have to take photos. Just come as my guest." Nalani had said yes before thinking it through. Now, standing in Laura's apartment, borrowing yet another dress, this time a stunning burgundy number that hugged her curves, Nalani felt sick with anxiety. "Girl, you look amazing," Laura said, zipping her up. "But you also look like you're about to throw up. What's going on?" "I'm lying to everyone," Nalani whispered. "To Callahan, to Dominic, to myself. I don't know what I'm doing anymore." "Then stop lying," Laura said simply. "Tell Callahan the truth. Tell Dominic the truth. Figure out what you actually want." "What if I want both?" "Then you're about to lose both," Laura said bluntly. "Because this double life, it's not sustainable, Nalani, and someone's about to get hurt. Probably you." Nalani arrived at the gallery at 7 p.m. The place was packed. Beautiful people in expensive clothes, champagne flowing, art on the walls that probably cost more than most people's houses. Callahan found her immediately, and the look on his face when he saw her made every lie feel worth it. "Nalani," he breathed, "you're beautiful." "Thank you. You clean up pretty nice yourself." Callahan was in a tailored navy suit with a crisp white shirt, no tie. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine. He offered his arm. "Can I introduce you around?" "I'd love that." They moved through the gallery together, Callahan's hand on the small of her back, guiding her. He introduced her to everyone: gallery owners, fellow actors, directors, producers. "This is Nalani Brooks," he'd say proudly, "the most talented photographer you'll ever meet." And for the first time in weeks, Nalani let herself relax. Let herself enjoy being seen, being valued, being treated like she mattered. They were standing in front of a beautiful abstract painting, discussing the use of color, when Callahan's hand brushed against hers. And this time, instead of pulling away, Nalani let their fingers intertwine. Just for a moment. Just long enough to feel the warmth of his skin, the rightness of his touch. They both smiled, neither pulling away. And that's when Nalani heard it. "Well, isn't this cozy?" The voice was loud, angry, slicing through the sophisticated murmur of the gallery. Nalani's blood turned to ice. She turned around. Dominic was standing 10 feet away, dressed in jeans and his best button-down shirt, looking completely out of place among the formal attire. His face was twisted with fury. "Dom," Nalani breathed, dropping Callahan's hand like it was on fire. "What are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" Dominic laughed, and it was not a nice sound. "What am I doing here? I'm checking on my fiancé who's been lying to me for weeks." The word fiancé echoed through the gallery like a gunshot. Nalani felt every eye turn toward them, felt Callahan go completely still beside her. "Dominic, please, not here." Nalani tried to move toward him, but Dominic stepped back, his voice getting louder. "No, let's do this here. Let's do it in front of all these fancy people, in front of him." He pointed at Callahan, who was standing there frozen, his expression unreadable. "You think I'm stupid?" Dominic continued, addressing Nalani but making sure everyone could hear. "You think I don't know what's been going on? You've been sneaking around with this guy for weeks, coming home late, lying about where you've been, and now you're here, holding his hand, looking at him like... "Dominic, stop," Nalani begged, tears starting to stream down her face. "Why? Because you're embarrassed? Good. You should be embarrassed. You're engaged to me. We've been together for 10 years, but I'm not good enough for you anymore because I'm not famous." He turned to Callahan now, getting in his face. "You think you can just take whatever you want because you're some big shot actor? She's mine. We're getting married." Callahan's voice was deadly calm. "You're making everyone uncomfortable. You need to leave. Now." "Or what?" Dominic challenged. "You'll have me thrown out? Go ahead. Show everyone what a big man you are." "I'm not going to do anything," Callahan said quietly. But you're making a scene, and you're upsetting Nalani. So I'm asking you, as someone who clearly cares about her, to leave before you make this worse. I'm upsetting her? Dominic laughed again. That's rich. You've been trying to steal my girlfriend for weeks and I'm the bad guy? I didn't know she was your girlfriend, Callahan said, and his voice was cold now. She never mentioned you. Those words hit Nalani like a slap. Dominic turned back to her. Is that true? You never even told him about me? About US? Nalani couldn't speak, could only cry. Wow, Dominic said, and now he sounded hurt instead of angry. 10 years, Nalani. 10 years of my life. And you couldn't even mention me to your new celebrity friend? Dom, I'm sorry. Save it. Dominic looked between her and Callahan, shaking his head. You know what? You two deserve each other, both fake as hell. He turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at Callahan one more time. Just so you know, Dominic said, I'm going to be famous too. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow, but I will be. And when I am, you're both going to regret this. He pushed his way through the crowd and out the door. The gallery was dead silent. Every single person was staring at Nalani. She felt like she was drowning. Callahan turned to her slowly. His face was completely blank. You're engaged, he said flatly. Callahan, I can explain. You're engaged. To him. Yes, but what, Nalani? And now there was emotion in his voice. Hurt. Betrayal. How long? 6 months. 6 months. Callahan took a step back from her. We've been, whatever this has been, for 3 weeks, and you were engaged the whole time. I should have told you. Yeah, you should have. Callahan ran his hand over his face. God, I'm an idiot. You're not. I am. Because I actually thought. He stopped, shook his head. It doesn't matter what I thought. It matters to me, Nalani whispered. Callahan looked at her, and the disappointment in his eyes was worse than any anger could have been. I had the impression you don't tolerate shitty guys, he said quietly. Because that guy back there, he seems like the epitome of a jerk. The yelling, the possessiveness, the public humiliation. That's not how you treat someone you love. You don't know him. You're right. I don't. And I clearly don't know you either. Callahan took another step back. I need to go handle damage control. You should probably leave. Callahan, please. Goodbye, Nalani. He walked away, and Nalani stood there in her borrowed dress, in the middle of a gallery full of strangers, crying so hard she could barely breathe. This was it. She'd lost him. She'd lost everything. Nalani didn't remember calling an Uber. Didn't remember the ride home. Didn't remember walking up the stairs to her apartment. But suddenly she was there, standing outside her door, fumbling with her keys. She went inside and stopped dead. Dominic was packing. A large duffel bag was open on the bed, half filled with his clothes. Drawers were open, his stuff pulled out haphazardly. Dom? Nalani said, her voice hoarse from crying. He didn't look up, just kept packing. What are you doing? What does it look like? Dominic said flatly. I'm leaving. No, please don't. Nalani rushed toward him, grabbing his arm. Dom, please, we can talk about this. Talk? Dominic finally looked at her, and his eyes were red. He'd been crying too. What's there to talk about, Nalani? You've been cheating on me. I haven't. We didn't do anything. You didn't have to. You were with him in your head, in your heart. That's worse than physical. He was right. Nalani knew he was right. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. I got confused. But Dom, I love you. We've been together since we were 17. That has to mean something. Please don't leave, Nalani begged, grabbing both his hands now. Please, we can work through this. We can go to counseling. We can… Nalani, Dominic's voice was soft now. I should leave. We both know this isn't working anymore. It can work. We can make it work. I will do anything. They stood there, Nalani crying, wishing he would just take her into his arms and hug her, but he just stared at her, on a face cold, clearly unmoved by her tears. Finally, Dominic said, "There's one way I'd stay." Nalani looked up at him, hope flaring in her chest. "Anything, tell me." Dominic turned and sat down on the bed. When he spoke, his voice was calm. Too calm. "Get Callahan Westbrook to help me with my music career." Nalani felt like she'd been punched. "What?" "You heard me. You have access to one of the biggest names in entertainment. Get him to promote my music. Introduce me to his connections. Help me get signed to a label. That's how you prove you choose me." "Dom, I can't ask him that." "Why not? You've been spending all this time with him, building a professional relationship. Use it." "That's not... I can't use him like that." "You said you'd do anything for me." Dominic stood up. "Put in a good word for me. If you love me, is that really so much to ask?" Put like that, it sounded reasonable, but something about it felt wrong. "He's not going to help me after tonight," Nalani said. "You saw how he looked at me. He hates me now." "Then fix it. Apologize. Do whatever you have to do to get him to agree." Dominic zipped up his bag. "I'm going to stay at Trevor's place for a few days. When I come back, you can tell me if you're in or out. If you're in, you'll get Callahan to help me. If you're out..." He shrugged. "Then we're done. For real this time." "Dom, this isn't fair." "Fair?" Dominic laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about fair? How fair was it for you to lie to me for weeks?" "I'll think about it," Nalani whispered. "You do that." Dominic grabbed his bag and walked to the door. He paused, turned back. "You know I love you, right? If this music career kicks off, I'm going to give you all the luxuries in the world, trust me." The door closed behind him. Nalani sank to the floor and cried until she had nothing left. Did y'all just see what happened? Dominic exposed Nalani in front of everyone. Callahan's heart is broken, and now Dominic is asking Nalani to use Callahan to help his career? If you think Dominic is manipulating her, comment "red flag alert." If you think Nalani deserves everything that's happening, comment "Nalani played herself." And if you're desperate to see what happens next, smash that subscribe button because the next part is going to make you fall apart before you come back together. Nalani didn't sleep that night. She lay on her bed, the bed she'd shared with Dominic for 6 months, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything over and over. In Dominic's face when he saw her holding Callahan's hand. Callahan's face when he learned she was engaged. The way everyone at that gala had stared at her like she was something shameful. And Dominic's ultimatum: get Callahan to help my career, or we're done. By the time the sun came up, Nalani felt hollowed out, empty, like someone had scooped out her insides and left just the shell. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Tremaine. Tremaine. Callahan Westbrook's team just canceled all future bookings with you. Care to explain? Nalani's stomach dropped. Tremaine. Actually, don't bother. Whatever happened at that gala last night is all over social media. Callahan Westbrook caught in love triangle with photographer. You've made my agency look unprofessional, Brooks. Don't come in today. We'll discuss your future here next week. She'd been suspended, possibly about to be fired. Nalani pulled up Instagram with shaking hands. Sure enough, gossip blogs had posted about last night. Blurry photos of Dominic yelling, of Nalani crying, of Callahan's cold expression. The comments were brutal. She was using him for clout. Gold digger got caught. Poor Callahan, he deserves better. Who even is this girl? Nalani threw her phone across the room and pulled the covers over her head. This was rock bottom. 3 days passed. Nalani barely left her apartment. Barely ate. Just existed in a fog of shame and regret. Laura came by every day bringing food, forcing Nalani to shower, keeping her from completely falling apart. You need to make a decision, Laura said on day 3, sitting on the edge of Nalani's bed. Like about Dominic, about Callahan, about your life. I don't know what to decide, Nalani said, her voice hoarse. Yes, you do. You're just scared to admit it. What if I choose wrong? What if you choose nothing and lose everything anyway? Laura countered. Nalani, you can't keep living in this limbo. It's killing you. Laura was right. Nalani knew she was right. That evening, Dominic came back. He let himself in with his key, carrying a bag of Chinese takeout like nothing had happened. Hey, babe, he said, setting the food on the counter. Brought your favorite, Kung Pao chicken, extra spicy. Nalani sat on the couch, watching him move around their kitchen like this was normal. Like he hadn't given her an impossible ultimatum and then disappeared for 3 days. We need to talk, Nalani said. I know. Dominic sat down next to her, his expression serious. I've been thinking a lot these past few days, about us, about our future. Dom, let me finish. He took her hands. I love you, Nalani. I've loved you since we were 17 years old. You're my best friend, my partner, my whole world. And I know things have been hard lately. I know I've been struggling with my career, asking you for money, maybe not pulling my weight. Nalani's chest tightened. This was the Dominic she'd fallen in love with. Honest, vulnerable, real. But baby, Dominic continued, I'm so close to making it. I can feel it. I just need one break, one opportunity, and you have access to that opportunity. Callahan Westbrook could change my life with one Instagram post. One introduction, that's all I'm asking. And just like that, the vulnerable Dominic disappeared, replaced by the one who wanted something. I can't ask him that, Nalani said quietly. Even if things were fine between us, which they're not, I couldn't use him like that. It's not right. Dominic's jaw tightened. So you're choosing him over me. I'm not choosing him. I'm choosing not to use people. It's not using, it's networking. That's how the industry works, Nalani. People help people. People help people they have relationships with. Callahan hates me right now. He won't even take my calls. Then fix it. Dominic's voice was rising now. Apologize, grovel, do whatever you have to do, unless… He paused, his eyes narrowing. Unless you don't want to fix it because you're hoping he'll take you back. That's not… Is it? Like, are you hoping that now that we're on a break, you can be with him guilt-free? No, Dominic, I'm not trying to be with him. Then prove it. Dominic stood up, pacing. Prove that you choose me. Prove that 10 years means something. Get him to help me, Nalani. That's all you have to do. Nalani stared at the man she'd loved for a decade. The man who'd been her first kiss, her first love, her first everything. And she finally saw him clearly. He didn't want her. He wanted what she could give him. Access, connections, a shortcut to fame. I can't do what you're asking, Nalani said, standing up to face him. I won't. Dominic's face went cold. Then we're done. Maybe we've been done for a while, Nalani said quietly. Maybe we just didn't want to admit it. Wow. Dominic laughed bitterly. So that's it? 10 years and you're just throwing it away? I'm not throwing it away. I'm accepting that we've grown into different people who want different things. What I want, Dominic said, his voice hard, is a partner who supports me, who fights for me. You're not that person anymore. You're right, Nalani said, and she felt strangely calm. I'm not, because supporting you has meant losing myself. I work hard every day, and there's nothing to show for it because you're always spending everything I get. You refuse to work? Who says you can't get a part-time job while waiting for your music career to take off? I feed you, I clothe you, I give you money to hang out with your friends. Every time you call is to make one demand or the other. And yet you don't even care about my work. You call it the camera thing, the photography thing. All you care about is yourself. I can't do that anymore. They stood there in the living room of their shared apartment, the Chinese food getting cold on the counter, 10 years of history hanging between them. I'll come back tomorrow to get my stuff, Dominic said finally. Okay. He walked to the door, then paused. You're going to regret this, Nalani. When I make it big, and I will, I'm going to make you regret choosing your pride over us. Maybe, Nalani said, but at least I'll still have my self-respect. Dominic left, slamming the door behind him. Nalani sank back onto the couch, and this time, when she cried, It felt different. Not like grief, like relief. The next morning, Nalani woke up feeling lighter than she had in weeks. Dominic was gone. The engagement was off. She'd lost her biggest client and might lose her job. But at least she wasn't lying anymore. She was making coffee when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Ms. Brooks? This is Desmond, Mr. Westbrook's assistant. Nalani's heart jumped into her throat. Desmond, hi. Mr. Westbrook has requested a meeting with you, today, if possible, at his office. He wants to see me? Yes, ma'am. Would 2 p.m. work for you? Nalani looked at the clock. It was 9 a.m. That gave her 5 hours to prepare for whatever this was. Yes, 2 p.m. works. Excellent, I'll send you the address. Desmond hung up. Nalani stood in her kitchen, coffee forgotten, mind racing. Callahan wanted to see her. Why? To officially fire her? To tell her off in person? To demand an explanation? Whatever it was, she owed him the truth. The whole truth this time. At 1:45 p.m., Nalani stood outside a sleek office building in the Loop, trying to calm her racing heart. She'd dressed professionally. Black slacks, a cream blouse, minimal makeup. She wanted to look put together, not like the crying mess she'd been at the gala. Desmond met her in the lobby and escorted her up to the 15th floor. The offices of Westbrook Productions were beautiful, modern, sophisticated, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Mr. Westbrook is in his office, Desmond said, gesturing to a door at the end of the hall. Go ahead in. Nalani knocked softly. Come in, Callahan's voice called. She opened the door. Callahan sat behind a large desk, looking every inch the successful CEO in a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looked tired, she noticed. Like he hadn't been sleeping either. Nalani, he said, standing. Thank you for coming. Of course. She stayed near the door, unsure if she should sit. Callahan, I need to apologize. Let me go first, Callahan interrupted. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Please, sit. Nalani sat, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Callahan sat back down, leaning back in his chair. For a long moment, he just looked at her. I was angry after the gala, he said finally. Hurt. Felt like an idiot for not seeing it. But I've had some time to think, and I realized you never actually lied to me. Yes, I did. You omitted information, Callahan corrected. Which isn't great, but it's not the same as lying. I asked you if there was someone else, and you said it was complicated. That was true. I should have told you I was engaged. Yes, you should have. But I also pushed when you weren't ready to share. I pressured you into something you clearly weren't comfortable with. Callahan ran his hand over his face. We both made mistakes. Nalani hadn't expected this. She'd expected anger, coldness, dismissal. Not understanding. I'm sorry, she said, her voice cracking. I'm so sorry, Callahan. You were nothing but kind to me, and I repaid that by letting you develop feelings while hiding something huge. That was wrong, and selfish, and I don't blame you for hating me. I don't hate you, Callahan said quietly. I'm disappointed and hurt, but I don't hate you. Tears started rolling down Nalani's cheeks. You should. Why? Because you're human? Because you made a mistake? Callahan leaned forward. Nalani, I've made plenty of mistakes in my life. Big ones. I'm not going to crucify you for being imperfect. What about your reputation? The tabloids? We'll move on to the next story in a week, Callahan finished. I've weathered worse. This is nothing. They sat in silence for a moment. Are you still engaged? Callahan asked. No, Nalani said. We broke up, last night, for real this time. Something flickered across Callahan's face. Relief? Hope? But it was gone too quickly for her to read. How are you handling that? Better than I expected, Nalani admitted. It was the right thing to do. We've been wrong for each other for a while. I was just too scared to admit it. That takes courage. Walking away from 10 years? Or stupidity. I'm not sure which yet. Callahan smiled slightly. Probably a bit of both. But Nalani, I didn't ask you here to talk about your relationship. I asked you here because a knock on the door interrupted him. Come in, Callahan called. Desmond poked his head in. Sir, sorry to interrupt, but there's a Dominic Harper here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent. Nalani's blood turned to ice. Callahan's eyes narrowed. Dominic Harper? The fiancé? Ex-fiancé, Desmond corrected, glancing at Nalani. Should I send him away? No, Callahan said slowly. I'll see him. Nalani, would you mind waiting in the conference room next door? This shouldn't take long. Nalani wanted to protest, wanted to know what Dominic was doing here, but she nodded and let Desmond escort her to the conference room. The walls weren't soundproof. She could hear voices, muffled but there. And against her better judgment, Nalani moved closer to the wall and listened. Dominic walked into Callahan's office with false confidence, that charming smile plastered on his face. Mr. Westbrook, Dominic said, extending his hand. Thanks for seeing me. I know I don't have an appointment. What do you want? Callahan didn't shake his hand, didn't invite him to sit. Just stood there, arms crossed, radiating cold authority. Dominic's smile faltered slightly, but he recovered. I wanted to apologize. For the other night, at the gala. That wasn't my best moment. Your best moment would have been not showing up and causing a scene, Callahan said flatly. But here we are. Right, well. Dominic shifted his weight. The thing is, I overreacted because I was scared, you know? Scared of losing Nalani to someone like you, someone successful, famous. Someone like me, Callahan repeated. Yeah, I'm man. I mean, I'm working on my music career, but I'm not there yet. And seeing her with you, I felt threatened. But I've been thinking, and I realized, why should I feel threatened? We could all help each other out. Callahan's eyebrow raised. Help each other out? Exactly. Dominic warmed to his pitch. See, Nalani's talented. You know that. And I'm talented too. I'm a singer, songwriter, performer. I've got this demo that's getting some local buzz, but what I need is a platform. A cosign from someone with your reach. You want me to promote your music? Callahan said, his voice dangerously calm. Not just promote, mentor maybe? I could open for one of your events, or you could share my stuff on social media. Just one post from you could change my life? Man. And why would I do that? Because you care about Nalani, Dominic said, like it was obvious. And Nalani cares about me. Helping me helps her. It's a win-win. Callahan walked slowly around his desk, studying Dominic like he was a specimen under glass. Let me ask you something, Dominic, Callahan said. Hypothetically. Sure, man, anything. If you had to choose, genuine massive success in your music career, but it meant losing Nalani forever, or keeping Nalani but staying exactly where you are now in your career, which would you pick? Dominic didn't even hesitate. The success. Easy? Callahan's expression didn't change. Just like that? No thinking about it? Look, I love Nalani, Dominic said with a shrug. But she'll forgive me. She always does. And once I make it big, she'll come back. You know, women always come back when you're successful. That's just how it works. But if I don't take this opportunity, if I let my career slip away because I'm worried about some relationship drama, I'll regret it forever. Interesting, Callahan said quietly. So what do you say? Dominic pressed. Can you help a brother out? One post, that's all I need. Callahan walked to his desk, pressed the intercom button. Desmond, please come escort Mr. Harper out of the building. Dominic's face fell. Wait, what? Man, I'm just asking for… I heard what you're asking for, Callahan interrupted, his voice ice cold. And the answer is no. I don't help people who see relationships as transactions. Who would throw away someone who loves them for fame? That's not what I… You just told me you'd choose your career over Nalani without a second thought. You told me she'd come back to you because women are that predictable. You told me everything I need to know about your character. Desmond appeared in the doorway. But here's what you don't understand, Dominic, Callahan continued, his voice deadly quiet. Nalani Brooks is worth 100 music careers. She's talented, genuine, and loyal, sometimes to a fault. She spent 10 years supporting your dreams while you contributed nothing, and you just proved you don't deserve a single second more of her time. Dominic's face flushed red. You don't know anything about our relationship. I know enough. Desmond, please show Mr. Harper out. And make sure security knows he's not to be allowed back in this building. You're making a mistake, Dominic said as Desmond firmly guided him toward the door. I'm going to be huge. You'll regret this. I doubt it, Callahan said. But even if you do become successful, you'll do it alone, because you just chose fame over the best thing that ever happened to you. What's that supposed to mean? Callahan smiled, but it was cold. It means you don't know your girlfriend at all. Ex-girlfriend. Because after what you just told me, I'm going to make damn sure she knows exactly what kind of man you really are. Dominic's eyes widened. You're going to tell her about this conversation? Every word. She won't believe you. Yes, she will. Because unlike you, I don't lie to her. Callahan nodded to Desmond. Get him out of here. Desmond physically escorted Dominic out. The door closed. Callahan stood there for a moment, anger radiating off him, before walking to the conference room door and opening it. Nalani stood there, tears streaming down her face. She'd heard everything. Nalani, Callahan started. He chose fame, Nalani whispered. Without even thinking about it. He chose fame over me. I'm sorry you had to hear that. I'm not. Nalani wiped at her tears angrily. I needed to hear it. I needed to know who he really is, who he's probably always been, and I was just too blind to see it. Callahan stepped closer. Hey, you're not blind. You're loyal. There's a difference. Loyal to someone who would throw me away for an Instagram post, Nalani said bitterly. That's on him, not you. They stood there in the hallway, and Nalani felt the last piece of her heart that had been holding onto Dominic finally break free. I really am done with him, she said. For real this time. No going back. Good, Callahan said firmly. Because Nalani, you deserve someone who would choose you over everything, every single time, without hesitation. The way he was looking at her made her wonder if he was talking about someone specific. But before she could ask, her phone started buzzing. And buzzing, and buzzing. Nalani pulled it out, and her face went white. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $2,000. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $3,500. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $4,200. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $5,800. No, Nalani whispered, watching alert after alert flood her screen. No, no, no. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $2,500. She was watching her savings account drain in real time. What's wrong? Callahan asked, seeing her face. Dominic, the joint account. He's taking everything. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $3,000. Nalani's hands were shaking so badly she could barely dial the bank's number. This is Nalani Brooks' account number. I need you to freeze my account immediately. Someone is making unauthorized withdrawals. Ma'am, I'm showing these are authorized withdrawals from a joint account holder. I don't care. Freeze it. Oh, please. I'll need to verify your identity first. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $4,500. Callahan was already moving. Come on, we're going to your apartment now. Family, Dominic is robbing Nalani while they're standing there. If you're screaming right now, smash that like button. Comment Dominic is trash if you can't believe this man. And subscribe because what they're about to find at Nalani's apartment is going to destroy you. Don't you dare click away. Callahan drove like he was in a Fast and Furious movie. Fast but controlled, weaving through Chicago traffic with the kind of focus that comes from pure fury. Nalani sat in the passenger seat of his Range Rover, watching helplessly as her phone continued to buzz with withdrawal alerts. Her hands shook as she tried calling Dominic. Straight to voicemail. She tried again. A voicemail. Again. Voicemail. How much was in that account? Callahan asked, his jaw tight. $18,000, Nalani whispered. I've been saving for 3 years, for the wedding, for emergencies, for my future studio. He can't take it all. The bank will stop him. Bank alert. Withdrawal. $3,200. Bank alert. Account balance. $847.23. Nalani made a sound somewhere between a sob and a scream. $18,000. Gone. In less than 30 minutes. That son of a... Callahan didn't finish the sentence, just drove faster. They pulled up to Nalani's apartment building in Bronzeville 15 minutes later. Nalani was already out of the car before it fully stopped, running toward the entrance. Her apartment door was ajar. That was the first sign something was very, very wrong. Nalani pushed it open and stepped inside, and stopped dead. The apartment was empty, not messy, not ransacked, empty. The couch, gone. The TV, gone. The coffee table, gone. The dining table and chairs, gone. The bookshelf, gone. The lamps, gone. Nalani walked through the apartment in a daze. The bedroom furniture, gone. Her dresser, gone. Even the bed frame, gone, leaving just the mattress on the floor. The kitchen appliances she'd saved up to buy. The nice blender, the air fryer, the coffee maker, all gone. Her camera equipment sat untouched on the floor of the closet. Even Dominic wasn't stupid enough to steal that. But everything else of value had been stripped from the apartment like locusts had come through. On the kitchen counter, the only thing left in the kitchen was a note. Nalani picked it up with shaking hands. You wanted me gone. I'm gone. Thanks for the 10-year investment. Hope your new celebrity boyfriend can buy you new stuff. Callahan appeared beside her, reading over her shoulder. The rage coming off him was almost physical. He sold it, Nalani said, her voice eerily calm. He sold all my furniture, everything I owned, and took all my money. We're calling the police, Callahan said, already pulling out his phone. It won't matter, Nalani said flatly. It was a joint account. The furniture was in both our names. Legally, he can take it. He can't just, he can, and he did. Nalani walked to the middle of her empty living room and sank to the floor. She didn't cry. She was beyond crying. She just sat there in the empty apartment, surrounded by the ghost of her old life, and felt everything inside her shatter. 10 years. $18,000. Every piece of furniture she'd carefully chosen and saved for. All gone. Taken by a man who said he loved her. Callahan sat down on the floor beside her. Didn't try to fix it. Didn't offer empty platitudes. Just sat with her in the emptiness. I have nothing, Nalani finally said. No money, no furniture, no job. Tremaine's probably going to fire me. No fiancé, nothing. You have your camera equipment, Callahan pointed out gently. Your talent, your integrity. My integrity? Nalani laughed bitterly. I lied to you for weeks. And you broke up with him rather than use me. That's integrity. Nalani looked at him. This man who should hate her, who had every right to walk away, who owed her absolutely nothing. That's when Nalani finally cried. Not angry tears, not bitter tears, on tears of exhaustion, of someone who'd been carrying too much for too long finally being allowed to put it down. Callahan put his arm around her shoulders, and she leaned into him, sobbing into his expensive shirt, and he didn't move. Just held her while she broke apart. What am I going to do? Nalani asked when she could finally speak. Rent is due in 5 days. I have $800 to my name. I can't afford to stay here. I can't afford to leave. I'm completely stuck. No, you're not, Callahan said. You're coming to stay with me. Nalani pulled back to look at him. What? I have a guest house. Separate building on my property in Hyde Park, fully furnished. You can stay there until you get back on your feet. Callahan, I can't. Yes, you can, and you will. Because I'm not leaving you here alone with no furniture and no money. That's not happening. But people will talk. The press. Let them talk. I don't care. I care. I've already caused enough problems for you. Nalani. Callahan turned to face her fully, his dark eyes serious. Stop. You're in crisis. You need help. I'm offering it. Please let me help you. Why? Nalani asked again. After everything, why do you care? Callahan's expression softened. Because when I look at you, I don't see someone who lied to me. I see someone who got trapped in an impossible situation with someone who didn't deserve her. I see someone who chose honesty even when it cost her everything. And I see someone who needs a friend right now. A friend, Nalani repeated. A friend, Callahan confirmed. Nothing more, no expectations, no pressure. Just a safe place to land while you figure out what's next. Nalani looked around her empty apartment. At the bare walls, the missing furniture, the physical representation of everything Dominic had taken from her. Then she looked at Callahan, at his steady presence, his genuine concern, his hand still resting on her shoulder like an anchor. "Okay," Nalani whispered. "Okay, thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Callahan said with a slight smile. "You haven't seen how bossy I get about people taking care of themselves." Despite everything, Nalani felt herself smile back. "I think I can handle it." "Good. Then let's pack up your camera equipment and anything else that's left. You're not spending another night here." 2 hours later, Nalani stood in the guest house on Callahan's property and wanted to cry all over again. It was beautiful. Not huge, maybe 800 square feet, but perfect. A cozy living room with a comfortable couch and a TV, a small kitchen with modern appliances, a bedroom with a queen bed and soft white linens, a bathroom with a deep tub. And it was hers, for as long as she needed it. "The main house is through the garden," Callahan said, pointing out the window. "But this space is completely private. You've got your own entrance, your own everything. I won't bother you unless you ask." "Callahan, this is too much." "It's not enough," Callahan interrupted. "But it's what I can offer. Please, stay. No rent, no timeline, just heal." Nalani looked at this man who barely knew her, who she'd hurt, who should want nothing to do with her, and who was giving her a safe place to fall apart. "I'll pay you back," Nalani said. "Somehow. When I get back on my feet?" "We'll talk about that later," Callahan said. "For now, just rest. There's food in the fridge. I had Desmond stock it. Fresh towels in the bathroom. Wi-Fi password is on the counter. If you need anything, my number's programmed into the house phone." He headed toward the door. "Callahan?" Nalani called. He turned back. "Thank you, really. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't." "You would have figured it out," Callahan said with certainty. "You're stronger than you know, Nalani. You just forgot for a while. But you'll remember." He left, closing the door softly behind him. Nalani stood in the middle of the guest house, surrounded by peace and quiet and safety. And for the first time in months, she felt like she could breathe. If Callahan Westbrook isn't the most green flag man to ever exist, I don't know who is. If you're crying right now, good tears this time, hit that like button. Comment Callahan is a real man if you think Nalani finally found someone who truly cares. And subscribe because we're about to time jump and you need to see how Nalani rises from these ashes like the queen she is. 1 week later, Nalani had barely left the guest house. She'd called Tremaine and explained everything, the breakup, the theft, the situation. He'd been surprisingly understanding, giving her 2 weeks off to get her life sorted. "But Brooks," he'd said, "when you come back, you better come back strong. I still believe in your talent. Don't make me regret it." She'd cried after that call. Good tears. Laura had visited every day, bringing food, gossip, and tough love. "You dodged a bullet," Laura said on day 3, sitting on Nalani's bed. "Actually, you dodged a whole firing squad. Dominic was trash." "I wasted 10 years on trash," Nalani said. "No, you loved someone who turned out to be trash. That's not a waste. That's a lesson. Now you know better. You'll do better." Callahan had respected her space, leaving care packages outside her door. Fresh coffee, pastries, books, movies, sanitary items, flowers, little notes that said things like, "You've got this," and "one day at a time," and "ate today." He never pushed, never intruded, just quietly supported from a distance. On day 7, Nalani finally felt strong enough to leave the guest house. She texted Callahan, "Is your offer for dinner still open? I think I'm ready for human interaction." His response was immediate. "My place. Eat 7 p.m. I'm cooking. Hope you like pasta." At 7 p.m., Nalani walked through the garden to Callahan's main house, feeling nervous for reasons she couldn't quite name. The house was even more beautiful on the inside than she'd imagined. Modern but warm, with art on the walls and comfortable furniture that actually looked lived in. Callahan was in the kitchen, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, stirring something that smelled absolutely incredible. "You cook?" Nalani asked, genuinely surprised. Callahan looked up and grinned. "You thought I survived on takeout and protein shakes?" "Kind of, yeah. I'll have you know I make an excellent chicken Alfredo, my mom's recipe. Taught me when I was 12. He gestured to the bar stools at the kitchen island. "Sit. Talk to me. How are you doing? Really?" Nalani sat, ours and for the first time in a week, answered that question honestly. "I'm angry," she said. "At Dominic, at myself, at the whole situation. But I'm also relieved? Is that awful? 10 years with someone and I'm relieved it's over." "It's not awful, it's honest." Callahan poured her a glass of wine. "You can grieve the relationship and be glad it's over at the same time. Both things can be true." They talked while he cooked. About her feelings, about his past, about his ex-fiancée Simone who'd used him for money and fame. "That's why you understood," Nalani said slowly. "Why you weren't more angry with me. You've been there. Different situation, but yeah. I know what it's like to be with someone who sees you as a means to an end rather than a person." Callahan plated the pasta, perfectly al dente, creamy sauce, fresh herbs. "I also know what it's like to finally walk away and feel like you can breathe again." They ate at his dining table, and the conversation flowed easily. He made her laugh with stories about terrible auditions and on-set disasters. She shared stories about chaotic wedding shoots and bridezilla moments. It felt normal, easy, like they'd been friends for years instead of weeks. After dinner, they watched a movie in his living room. Some action comedy that required zero brain power. Halfway through, Nalani's eyes started closing. She tried to fight it, but exhaustion won. The last thing she remembered was her head falling onto Callahan's shoulder. Nalani woke up on Callahan's couch, covered with a soft blanket, early morning light streaming through the windows. Callahan was in the kitchen making coffee. "Morning, odd sleeper," he said when he saw her sit up. "You passed out during the car chase scene. I didn't want to wake you." "I slept here all night?" Nalani asked, mortified. "On the couch, yeah. Figured you needed the rest more than you needed to walk back to the guest house." He handed her a mug of coffee, made exactly how she liked it. Of course he remembered. "Thank you," Nalani said. "For this, for everything. I don't know how I'll ever repay you." "You don't have to repay me, Nalani. That's not why I'm doing this." "Then why are you doing it?" Callahan sat down next to her on the couch, holding his own coffee mug. "Because," he said quietly, "you deserve to be treated well. Even if you don't believe that yet. And maybe if I show you what that looks like, you'll start expecting it from everyone else too." Nalani's throat tightened. "You're a good man, Callahan Westbrook." "I'm trying to be," he said. "For you, I'm really trying." 2 months later, Nalani stood in her new apartment, a modest one-bedroom in Pilsen that she could actually afford, and smiled at the second-hand couch she'd just assembled. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers. The past 2 months had been hard. She'd worked her ass off, taking every photography job Tremaine threw at her. Weddings, corporate events, headshots, family portraits. She'd rebuilt her savings slowly but surely. She'd also started therapy, working through the Dominic situation and her tendency to lose herself in relationships. And she'd become genuine friends with Callahan. Real friends. They had dinner twice a week, watched movies, talked about everything and nothing. And he'd introduced her to people in the industry, not as a favor to get something, but because he genuinely believed in her talent. Through him, she'd booked 3 major commercial campaigns and a magazine spread. Her career was taking off, her savings were growing, and she was healing. "Nice couch," a voice said from the doorway. Nalani turned to find Callahan leaning against the frame, holding a housewarming gift, a beautiful succulent in a ceramic pot. "Thought you could use some green," he said, setting it on her counter. "And before you protest, it's almost impossible to kill, even for you." "I'm not that bad with plants," Nalani protested. You killed a cactus, Nalani. That was one time. They laughed, and it felt good. Easy. Right. Thank you, Nalani said, more seriously. For the plant. For everything these past 2 months. You've been a real friend, Callahan. The best friend I've had in a long time. Something flickered across Callahan's face. Disappointment? Sadness? But it was gone before she could read it. Always, he said. You need anything else? Actually, Nalani took a breath. I think I need to do the next part alone. Not because I don't appreciate you, but because I need to prove to myself that I can stand on my own. Make sense? Callahan was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. Complete sense. You need to know you're okay with or without anyone else. Exactly. Then I'll give you space. But Nalani, he stepped closer. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, I'll still be here. As friends? Nalani asked. If that's what you need, Callahan said. But I want you to know, not when you're healed, when you're whole, when you know your own worth. I'd like to be more than friends, if you want that too. Nalani's breath caught. Cal, you don't have to answer now, Callahan interrupted gently. Take your time. Figure out who you are without Dominic, without me, without anyone else. And if, when you figure that out, you decide you want to explore this thing between us, I'll be waiting. But if you don't, I'll respect that too. Your friendship alone is worth everything. He kissed her forehead softly and headed for the door. Callahan? Nalani called. He turned back. Thank you for being patient, for seeing me even when I couldn't see myself. He smiled. That's what real love does, Nalani. It sees you, all of you, and chooses you anyway. He left, and Nalani stood in her new apartment, and tears streaming down her face, finally understanding the difference between someone who takes and someone who gives. 1 year later, the gallery was packed. Nalani stood near the entrance of the Chicago Art Center, watching people move through her first solo exhibition. Unfiltered, real people, real stories. 50 photographs. 50 portraits of everyday Chicagoans. The homeless veteran on Michigan Avenue, the single mother working 3 jobs, the teacher who spent her own money on supplies, the drag queen who performed at underground clubs, the Syrian refugee who'd opened a restaurant in Devon. Real people, real beauty, real stories. The kind of work her father had encouraged her to do all those years ago. The exhibition had gotten incredible reviews. The Tribune had called her a fresh voice in contemporary photography. 3 of her pieces had already sold, and she'd done it entirely on her own. Well, mostly on her own. Tremaine had given her the time off to prepare. Laura had helped her select the final images. And Callahan had. This is incredible, Nalani. She turned to find Callahan standing beside her, looking devastatingly handsome in a dark suit, his eyes bright with pride. They hadn't seen each other in 3 months. At Nalani's request, they'd stopped their regular dinners and movie nights so she could fully focus on herself, her work, her growth. It had been the hardest 3 months of her life. She'd missed him desperately. But she'd also found herself. Really found herself. You came, Nalani said, her heart racing. Of course I came. Ak, you invited me? I wasn't sure you'd show. Nalani, I'd show up to your grocery shopping if you invited me. This? He gestured to the gallery. This is everything. They stood there, surrounded by people but somehow alone, just looking at each other. You look good, Callahan said softly. Happy. I am, Nalani said. I really am. This past year, it's been hard, but I needed it. I needed to figure out who I am when I'm not defined by someone else, when I'm just me. And who is that? Someone stronger than I thought. Someone who doesn't need to be saved. Someone who can stand on her own 2 feet and build something real. I always knew that about you, Callahan said. I was just waiting for you to know it too. A gallery patron approached, praising Nalani's work, asking about her process. She talked with them for a few minutes, comfortable and confident in a way she'd never been before. When they walked away, Callahan was smiling. "What?" Nalani asked. You're in your element. It's beautiful to watch." Nalani's cheeks warmed. "Cal, I need to tell you something." "Okay. This past year, while I was figuring myself out, I realized something." "What's that?" "I was falling in love with you even back when I was with Dominic. That's why I couldn't tell you about him. Why I kept taking off my ring. Why I felt so guilty all the time." Nalani took a breath. "I was emotionally cheating, and that was wrong. I should have been honest with both of you from the start." "You're being honest now," Callahan said gently. "I am, and here's the truth. I needed this year apart. I needed to make sure that what I feel for you isn't just gratitude for saving me or rebound emotions or some fantasy." "And?" Callahan's voice was carefully neutral, but she could see the hope in his eyes. "And I love you," Nalani said simply. "Not because you're successful or famous, or because you helped me when I was broken. I love you because you're kind, because you see people, because you make me laugh, because you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I love you, Callahan. Just you. Just Cal." Callahan's whole face transformed. "Yeah? Yeah. If the offer's still open, I'd like to try. For real this time. No secrets, no lies. Just us figuring it out together." Callahan stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. "Nalani Brooks, I have been waiting a year to hear you say that. Sorry I made you wait so long. You were worth the wait. You'll always be worth the wait." He leaned down, and Nalani rose up on her toes, and they kissed right there in the middle of her gallery exhibition, surrounded by her art and her future and everything she'd built for herself. It was perfect, not because it was dramatic or movie-like, but because it was real. Nalani went from broken and betrayed to strong and successful. She learned to love herself first, and then found real love with someone who valued her. Comment Nalani1 if you're proud of her journey. And if this story taught you that you can't pour from an empty cup, that real love is patient, and that choosing yourself is never selfish, I share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for riding this journey with me. Subscribe for more stories that will make you feel all the feels. Drop a comment telling me what you learned from Nalani's story. And remember, you are worthy of real love, real respect, and real happiness. Don't settle for less. Until next time, keep growing and keep believing you deserve the best.